Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Christensen. Welcome to Horror 101 with Dr. AC, and this is Scare-A-Thon 2023, benefiting the Women's Reproductive Rights Assistance Project. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Tragedy Girls from 2017, and I was talking to my guests backstage saying, I can't believe this came out in 2017. I only am hearing about it now, but I'm super excited to talk about it. So let's bring in our awesome panel consisting of Josh Zagorin, Katie Glidewell, aka the Blonde in Front, and Ashley Lamers. And we're going to be talking about Tragedy Girls 2017. Why hadn't I heard about this movie, people?
So to jump in on that, because we were talking about this beforehand, and I was like, hang on, I got a story.
I want to hear it.
I have never seen this movie.
Okay.
I thought that the movie I signed on for was Final Girls, which I've seen many times and adore, and also The Final Girl, which I would have brought up. So then I was looking at this and I was like, wait a minute, Tragedy Girls, that's the same, right? Because I'm 100 years old. And so I go on Hulu and I'm like, oh, I don't know this movie at all. So I just saw this movie for the first time. So I'm with you, man. I didn't even know about this movie.
Thank you. And I was like, I'm glad you did see Tragedy Girls and not come in to talk about Final Girls.
Yeah, because it's a completely different story. Totally different actors. No one was in the... They share no similarities. That's not true. Kind of a little bit. But
I was
that's
going to say that. I'm sure there's some similarities there.
There's a general soup to all of this movie.
There's a girl title. Anyway, so for those of us who... Ashley, had you seen this before we signed on for this? Okay, so this is a new one for you. Katie, talk to me about
Katie's never seen this movie.
Exactly. I've never seen this movie, ever. Yes, I've seen it many times. I own it. I bought the whole thing from Vinegar Syndrome. I just think it's a fun nod to so many different horror movies that we love and adore. And I like that they do it in a way where they're not necessarily, they're doing an homage, not necessarily stealing scenes and dialogue and stuff like that, which that's something that I have a major problem with when movies, one in particular one this year, I'm not going to get into that, but this one, I mean, the fact that both of the lead characters have the last name of, famous horror directors. Yep. You've got scenes that are, little tip of the hat to Cannibal Holocaust, Halloween, Scream, a lot of Scream, and Carrie, and a number of other ones. I think the music's fantastic. I love that they got all of the stars that are in it have, I know Alexandra Shipp, she was just in Barbie, and Brianna Hildebrand, I mean, both of them have been in X-Men films, Jack Quaid. This was before the boys.
Yeah, so was this his first movie? Because I clapped when Jack Quaid. I was like, "Hey, Jack Quaid's here!"
It's not necessarily his first movie because he was in Hunger Games for an itty
that's
minute.
Right.
But
yeah.
He was in some other ones, but this one I feel like kind of put him on the map. This one was okay, this is Jack Quaid. He, away from who his parents are and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, I think it's just a fun film. Does it have its flaws? Yes, there's a few that I'm just nitpicky about. But I mean, I love the music. I mean, that ending music, I just want to do 18,000 things to that. I was rewinding and not rewinding like I have the VHS. I was going back, listening to the song over and over again. Yeah. And I mean, it's a solid 2017 film.
For sure. Ashley, that's okay. No, we're gonna, and of course I'm gonna call on you now that your cat's making all the noise. But
they have an auto feeder and it's time.
What was your experience watching it?
I had it took me a minute to get into it. I think that
because they're horrible people.
Yeah, that was part of it. But I think too, the initial kind of just getting into who the people were and what was the ride I'm going on, it just took me a minute. And I think some of that is just because of my age. Teen screams don't speak to me as much as they used to. But once I was in. I was like, oh, this is super fucking fun. I am all the way in. And with Jack Quaid, I was really stoked to see this like 35-year-old looking man sitting in the high school classroom, and I was like, sure. To me, that
Vintage.
was like
You
that
miss
was like
it.
a little nod.
You miss it. We don't get it enough.
Yeah.
In movies anymore.
Yeah, I was super into that.
And I'm just now putting it together. So which Quaid is Jack the spawn of?
Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan.
Okay, all right.
And
Yeah,
he was only 20. He's born in 92, so he wasn't that old when this. Yeah.
Yeah,
He was only 25.
I think it's that
Right?
he's got a
Is that
very
math? Sorry.
he's got a
Yeah.
very expressive forehead, and so that's the thing that looks, But yeah, when I found out that his mom is Meg Ryan, I'm like, oh, yep, there it is. I see it. Yeah.
Well, we should probably talk about what this movie actually is. We have Sadie Cunningham and Michaela Hooper, who are the tragedy girls of the title. And they are keen to garner an online following on Twitter. It seems like that's their main platform. But they're trying to whip up mystery and intrigue around this serial killer that's been happening in their town. And to the point where they kidnap the serial killer and then proceed to go about perpetuating his legacy on their own, because that way they can orchestrate the likes and the comments and the feed and which of course, 2017 in terms of social media, that was but a whisper of what we have today. So I was intrigued by how that whole social media, following and likes and stuff, that hasn't gone away. It's still with us.
I think it's interesting because now we can loop this one in with like Unfriended and Host as like decent views of what, like accepting the timeline that you're in and not pulling like we're going to set it in the 80s because people didn't have cell phones, so that's going to make it scarier. And that's true. But like, I like that people lean into it and go, no, people have cell phones. They have smartphones. They text. How do we make that scary?
Right.
And there have been a couple of ones that I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's legit. And now we have a new one. We have a new one to add to the shelf. Thank you for introducing me to this movie accidentally because I'm an idiot.
Thanks for signing up for the wrong movie.
Yeah.
I think. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, this is pre-TikTok, so I feel like that's also a way when people watch it, they are going to know, like, why aren't people like doing dances or something like that? Right. So it's like, oh, this is before 2020. I think, is that when TikTok? I don't know.
Yeah, right. 2019, 2018, somewhere in there. But I mean, you had, YouTube was going on, so that you had streamers, but they were mostly game streamers or things like this, because you had cam girls as well, which, sexual undertones aside, there's actually a whole business where it's just like, hey, I'm wearing cat ears and I'm talking to you about games. And it's dope and awesome, and some of my best friends are cam people. But like, it was like still like a weird place. Like the adults didn't go. It was like it was dark and interesting. I mean, it's the internet, so, but I feel like it's an interesting point in time to like, oh, this made sense for 2017. But looking back at it in hindsight, it's like, oh, was that new? Was that thing? It was like, now it was the underground was happening, right? All the high schoolers and stuff. Mm-hmm. I just had a birthday, so now I'm just thinking about the past. Thank you all for going on this journey with me.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yes, happy birthday.
I don't know why I was just like, oh gosh, remember the days? Remember YouTube? You guys remember Vine, LimeWire, Napster, MySpace, Friendster? Please.
Yeah.
As I alluded earlier, like these main characters are not necessarily people we can get behind right off the bat. They're kind of terrible, kind of superficial. But then we actually do get to know them a little bit, and we do get to relate to them, and we recognize that desire for attention is coming from a genuine place. And I was kind of like, oh, that's nice that they're not just cartoon characters.
Mm-hmm.
This had a vibe like Ginger Snaps, and it gave me that. It had that '90s nihilistic vibe that I kind of really dug. Because like one of my favorites is The Faculty. which just gets better every time I watch it. I'm like, God, this movie's perfect. And it's the right amount of that 90s darkness, the brutal darkness that they used to do, you know? And then, like, I feel like this one has that, like, oh, we're angry teenagers, but we're in love. It's like a rom drama horror-y, which I love. There's, like, so much in there.
I was really stoked that the families of the girls were super normal and healthy.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't like, oh, these girls are just from like, you know, fucked up families, so no
Right.
wonder why they're awful. Nope, this was just
Right.
some girls that were obsessed with branding, which now is super common and understood, and influencing is like the thing. But in 2017, it was different, right?
Right.
Which is wild because that seems like that was just a year ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like those touches as well, where it was like calling back, but also really very encapsulated in this moment in time. It was beautiful.
Oh, yeah. I loved it, by the way. I before we go any further, I'm like,
no.
I super dug this movie.
I actually wrote in my notes. I was like, our heroes are terrible, terrible people. And
Love
why am I like laughing and genuinely enjoying this? And it's because it's really a funny script and just expertly performed. Like, our two lead actors are so great.
Yeah.
You mentioned that, this was kind of like a key point in their career. I feel like they both had done superhero movies before and after, and this was a nice showcase for both of them because they're both just spot on. The dialogue just snapping back and forth. Great timing, and I want to give credit to our director, which is Tyler MacIntyre, but he co-wrote the script with Chris Lee Hall and Justin Olson. And I went and looked back at this is pretty much, you know, like, other than a movie called Patchwork, this is the only thing that Tyler MacIntyre's done, or at least this was up to this point. So this was a great calling card for everybody involved. And I really, really dug it.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is how Jack Quaid got... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you think this is how Jack Quaid got Scream? Because I wonder if he showed them this and was like, hey, man, I've already been in a slasher movie. I already have chops for this.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
I would say no, because The Boys started in 2019. And I think by that time, since when he was in Scream, that was 2022. So he'd already established himself as like an actor. And plus, I mean, he's got that face.
Yep.
He has that like Meg Ryan. So it's like, you're the boyfriend. You're cute. You can't be bad. It's like, look at you. It's like, and yeah, I mean, if this had come out later, I would agree with that. But yeah, I think with The Boys, that's when he really like set the tone so that people knew who he was.
And like him and Colin Hanks have just kind of developed forehead first, speaking to Ashley's point. And I'm so here for it.
Look, for someone who has a fellow five head, I can relate to that, like very much so. In fact, I remember someone making a comment on one of my YouTube videos that they said, it's like, is it me or is all I can look at is her forehead? And I'm like, and delete. Okay, thanks for that, assholes.
Wow. And you didn't charge you anything to have that opinion. Thanks, dude. Thanks a lot. Got out of that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
No, not you.
There was a
we love a forehead, Aaron. Can we just admit they're beautiful things?
I was going to say I have plenty myself. I really love the fact that we had, like you said, Katie, the different homages, but we even had like a Paul Thomas Anderson montage when we were like drifting through. You know, I was just like these are clearly people who love films. They know horror, but it doesn't feel like we need to be spoon fed. If you get it, you get it. And if you don't, it works as cinema, which is the best kind of homage. If you're just going to do a cinematic technique that worked for that other director and you're just using it as well.
Isn't it interesting that like in Scream, Wes Craven used your love of horror movies as a device to threaten you, right? But in this, it's like our love of horror movies as like a romantic, like after like a romantic getaway. Like when it was over, I was like, the tragedy girls. What a weekend. What a time. So many deaths. Glorious.
Oh man, can we talk about these deaths? I'll throw up our spoiler banner just for the fun of it. we're not really spoiling anything, but holy mackerel, there's some amazing.
They killed like 70 people in this
I was
movie.
like clapping.
Oh, more
in the
than
middle
that.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
the
whole
end.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
that's right.
school.
What's
Yeah.
their graduating class size?
That was 128.
So great.
Sorry, I really watched this over and over again to to make sure. That
Well,
was just
well,
fun.
So the barbell
Mhm.
death is so great, and what was the
Unexpected.
The table saw.
The
Table
table saw. Holy shit! That
Table
was
saw
so
made
good.
me audibly laugh, like
Yes.
gasp and laugh at the same time. And my
Yep.
neighbors would just hear a loud noise and then just clapping like, nice!
Yeah, it was that moment. I was like, you got me.
Same.
Whatever else you want to do is fine with me. Yeah, I really tell me. Since you got the Blu-ray there from Vinegar Syndrome, what are some of the fancy features on there?
Well, Aaron, since you asked,
I did. I want to know.
it has the director commentary. It has
Ooh.
going into the desk, like making of the different scenes, like the barbell scene. You have the motorcycle crashing, and then Josh Hutcherson, and then what's one of the other ones?
Holy shit.
Yeah,
I forgot about
there's
that one. It was so
the
good.
table saw scene. They go through all like the making of it and then the final product.
That's cool.
They have different trailers. I mean, actually, it's a pretty decent like special features. They don't have any bloopers and stuff like that, which I always like. They have not really a lot.
What if there was no bloopers? Like it was that was
perfect.
it.
Every take
Perfect
was
every
One
time.
shot.
done.
Calling
Just
it a
that
day,
good.
guys. We nailed that. One take.
Well, and that's one of the things. Like, I mean, Josh Hutcherson is even credited for the film. Like, he just did this, and then you've got Craig Robinson. You've
Yep.
got
Kevin
Timothy B.
Durant.
Murphy, who plays the sheriff, who's in 18
man.
jillion things, which I love. And it's like,
And
I
the
love
best mustache of all time.
Wow.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Wow.
So
and then
good.
Kevin Durant.
Immaculate.
I mean, you've got a lot of great character actors in this.
Kevin Durant plays Lowell, our serial killer. his last name is Lemons or something like that. And one of the characters like goes Lemons and just keeps calling him Lemons through the whole movie, which I just kept dying. I'm like, this shouldn't continue to be this funny.
He was in The Strain, right? Is that where I remember him from?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Right
And a
on.
bunch of
He's
other
also
stuff.
in. He was in one of the not Deadpool. He was in one of the X-Men movies,
Oh yeah.
or like Wolverine. He was in a Wolverine movie.
Yep.
He got really fat. That was his superpower, something like that. I don't know.
Great.
It
Love
wasn't
it.
a good one. It wasn't one of the good ones.
I think I can take down the spoilers banner now.
Yeah. I think we've said nothing about this movie.
We'll have the Wolverine spoilers later.
Yeah.
We've
That's
described
even
no deaths. We're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was I don't remember what the first kill was because it's the slasher movie
like
beginning,
boyfriend.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because it's that quick cut to the blade in the face kind of thing. Or that I was like, oh, I know what kind of movie this is. Okay. Like it sets you up right off the bat. Like, guys, it's gonna be goofy, it's gonna be campy, just go with us. And it was. But in the right ways, because I think people nowadays kind of go for that and it doesn't quite land. This one just kind of lets that be the way we're gonna tell this story.
It doesn't need to wink every,
Yeah.
like it knows that if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, that's okay too.
Sure.
And it's the best kind of homage is you're just going to tell your story and you're going to throw in the Easter eggs for those that want to find them without, going, hey, look, see how clever we're
Friday
being
the
right
13th. Have you heard of it? Oh, no, never. Go on. What's that about?
Craig Robinson popping up like totally. I was like, also, I didn't realize how big a guy Craig Robinson is. He's not a small man at all. That's
Yeah.
a large
Oh, yeah.
dude.
Perfect. That girl calls him Michael Myers at one point, and that just made me giggle. I was like, yeah, that's right. That's correct.
I don't
Well,
have
and
much
that
more to
scene-
add. I mean, I thought this was just a super fun movie.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
It's
No, I was
like
gonna say the Craig Robinson scene kind of reminded me of Killer Workout. I don't know if
Yes.
Killer
give the
Workout.
nod to that. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, you know what? I wonder if this is that. Okay, yeah, I see what you're doing.
Tell me more about Killer Workout.
Oh, you
Oh.
need to see.
Have you
Oh,
never?
I love when
Killer
horror fans do
Workout?
that. It's my favorite thing in the world when everyone's eyes explode and I'm like, oh, well,
Yep.
now I definitely have to see this movie.
Yeah, Killer Workout and Death Spa.
I've
are
seen
like
Death
Yes.
Spa.
They're like the best double feature you can have.
Also, I really appreciate, Dr. AC, that you say it's Death Spa as opposed to what I have been referring it to as Death Spa. Like, it feels so much more gallant to say Death Spa. And
The emphasis on the spa. I mean,
Death Spa, which isn't even a spa. It's a
death
gym,
anything,
but that's all right.
Death Spa is something special.
Oh, man, we brought up Death Spa. This has been a
did.
good day.
That's
Wait.
already.
I just thought that this had like, I want this on in the background at a party, at like a Halloween party. Like this is just a chai latte of horror, where it's comforting. I don't know, something about this movie got me.
Katie, since you were the only one who kind of knew this movie beforehand, where did you discover it? Like on the festival circuit, or did you just hear about it, or what?
Yes, I think it played at Fantastic Fest. So I remember hearing about it then. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it was at Sundance, but I'm almost positive it was at Fantastic Fest.
I could see it
or
playing
Beyond
well
Fest,
there.
something like that. But I'm pretty sure it was Fantastic Fest.
Cool.
I could be wrong. I mean, it was 6 years ago. I barely remember what I
If
did.
I were a better host, I would have looked it up myself. So
No,
That's
but
interesting
it's
that you've been
soon-
tracing this movie this whole time. You know, like been
Yes,
holding on to it. That's really cool.
I've been. There's actually a map on my wall where I have the little red ribbon, like when it came out and all that stuff. So
awesome.
I'm pretty obsessed with it.
This one also had like a cornerstone of great horror stuff. Iconic images. Like the two of them at the end. I'm like, yeah, well, I know where's my McFarlane toy of that?
Yep.
You know, like I love that it culminates.
Yeah.
It's almost like a superhero origin story kind of thing.
And the fact that they get away with it, and that we are okay with it. They're like, okay, yep, they're off to great things now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I also feel like they might have gotten out of their system.
Yeah, it's true. They go that whole scene at the end where they're going to college. It's like, oh, good luck, girls. You're like, oh, maybe this was a phase.
Yeah, totally.
So great. It's not. They murdered so many more people.
Yeah, they so murdered so many more people.
And can anybody? I feel like I know the term "tragedy girls," but is that like a song? Like what's the reference for tragedy girls? Anybody? This will give people something to put in the comments, because I'm like I feel like I've heard "tragedy girl" as a phrase to the point that this title didn't like knock me out. I was like, oh, but I don't know where tragedy girl spawns from. So
Not familiar.
quick again, where a better host, I would have Googled it beforehand, but I'm not.
I feel like I like that it has a connotation to the movie. Like that it's not I mean, it's probably a reference to something, because if you can think it exists on the internet.
Well,
So
it's not a comedy. It's clearly a tragedy.
Comedy Girls would be a much different film.
Comedy girls, they would have had a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, since they're just talking about death and emphasizing all the deaths. Like, I think that's why. And I feel like tragedy girls now would be people who, which I feel like maybe I can relate to this. Tragedy girls is someone. It's like when the celebrity dies, tells
Right,
everybody.
they thrive on the tragedy.
Yeah. Whoops,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the murder cast crowd,
Yeah.
you know. I would love to see another one. I'd like to catch up with them later. I think that'd be a fun reboot kind of deal. Because they've got a methodology that you can go, okay, this is when they're going to fight, and then a whole bunch of people are going to die in the wake of the fight, and then they're going to make up, and then they're going to go off and kill more people. I just think that that's a very real, like, human methodology that you can kind of lean into. So seeing them come back would be a blast.
I think that would be kind of a fun plot point as well, that, the people that you're friends with or best friends with in high school often aren't the ones that you stay with in college.
For sure.
So what could happen to the friendship?
I think it'd be interesting if they went to college or it's afterwards and they found two like the next generation of tragedy girls. Like, wait a minute, we did this. Like, what are you trying to do? Like,
oh yeah,
we're the OG and stuff. And then, you know, considering they'd only be like 24, calling them OG is like really bad.
Wait, is OG not a thing anymore? Damn it.
Oh no, OG is a thing,
OG's
but it's like 24 and OG doesn't just sound right to me.
Yeah, OG now is Ren and Stimpy. I heard that like somebody called out one of the was listening to it was Nirvana, maybe no, it was Puddle of Mud. Not Puddle of Mud. What's the band that influenced anyway, Monkey Teeth. There was some 90s vintage 90s grunge band that somebody said oldies, and I thought about it and I was like, I mean, it's 30 some. Yeah. Sorry, buds. Nirvana's on the oldies now. Which is great, because now the oldie station is so much more my speed. Because I'm like, yeah, okay, I want an ecto cooler. But anyway.
Well, hey, thank you so much. This was super fun. Again, this is Scare-A-Thon 2023, and it's benefiting the Women's Reproductive Rights Assistance Project. The link to donate is below in the description. Please, this is a cause that's very near and dear to my heart and to the hearts of my panelists. So please, if this moves you in any way, please make a contribution. No amount is too large or too small. So please, please, please dig deep. And we will be getting back together again in some form for the rest of the month. So looking forward to seeing y'all again soon.
I'll double check the movie just to make sure. I'm still going to do it, though. But yeah, that's the thing, man. Thank you for introducing us to these. So sometimes these movies fall through the cracks because, you know, we're crazy for it. So we just, you know, gobble whatever comes out that people think is great. But we forget that there are underrated gems like this just for free if you need a night. Yep. So thank you for this.
That's the ideas. I mean, these are ones that I haven't seen before. So I'm excited to be checking them out with y'all. Until next time, keep searching, keep exploring, and keep sharing the scare.